Good evening, everybody. Sterling here from the Canadian Shield. I want to talk to you about the Memorandum of Understanding. I hear people out there saying that Danielle Smith got duped, that Mark Carney pulled the wool over her eyes because now he's going to be putting extra carbon pricing on all of these industries. Everybody needs to understand that the tier system, which is how they measure the carbon pricing in Alberta, is tied directly to the carbon capture. A company can invest in carbon capture and not have to pay the penalties that are under the tier system or the carbon pricing system. Once that company's carbon capture is up and running, they will no longer be emitting carbon. That's why it's called carbon capture. And therefore, they will never have to pay these penalties to Ottawa ever again because their carbon is being captured. This is the kind of idea that Danielle Smith was looking at when she last year revamped the tier system. So no matter what you hear Mark Carney saying, there's going to be no money coming out of the oil and gas industry in Alberta toward the carbon pricing system because all of that carbon is going to be captured, and all of the industry that is going to be developed from the expense of the carbon capture will give men and women jobs, as well as give Alberta the infrastructure to shut down anybody complaining from the far left. You no longer have the right to complain about the carbon because the carbon has been captured. It's not being released into the atmosphere. It's being put back into the ground where it came from. Therefore, you have nothing to complain about. And you should, in fact, get in line, apply for a job, because now you can work in the oil and gas industry without fear that somehow Canada is polluting the earth. It is actually capturing the carbon. And in fact, you should now go and pick at all of the countries that do not capture carbon and convince them, if nothing else, to buy Canadian oil and gas, because Canadian oil and gas is clean, and therefore it's the best choice for their economy and for their country. Do not worry, Danielle Smith is much more clever than Mark Carney will ever be, and she won this argument. She won this, and there's three other factors, at least three from the Memorandum of Understanding that's worth talking about, but I won't be doing that in this video. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time.